Yeah, welcome back. We both this Wednesday edition of the SportsMax Zone revealing the 2025 schedule for the West Indies senior men's and women's team. The men will next be in action against Ireland in a three-match one-day international series from May 21 to 25 in Dublin. The series is the first leg of a UK white ball tour, which will be followed by 3 ODIs against England from May 29 to June 3 and 3 T20 internationals from June 6 to 10. The tour will conclude with 3 T20 internationals against the Irish from June 12 to 15 in Belfast. Now, following the men's limited overs tour of the United Kingdom, they will turn their focus to Test cricket 10 days later. Beginning June 25, they will host Australia in a 3-match Test series to start the new ICC World Test Championship cycle. They will also play 5 T20 internationals against the Aussies. West Indies men's home series versus Pakistan will follow. They will play 3 T20 internationals in Lauderhill, Florida, followed by 3 ODIs at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Trinidad and Tobago from July 31 to August 12. From September 21 to December 23, the Windies men will be embarking on overseas tours of India, Bangladesh and New Zealand. They'll face India in 2 test matches, Bangladesh in 3 ODIs and 3 T20 internationals, and New Zealand in 5 T20s, 3 ODIs and 3 tests. Now, meanwhile, the West Indies women's next international assignment will be the ICC 50-over World Cup qualifiers from April 4 to 19 in Pakistan, although they'll have regional cricket before that, the 50-over Blaze and the T20 regional tournament as well. And, of course, the qualifying tournament will be held from April 4 to 19. They will be involved in a 6-team tournament. The hosts will be Pakistan, of course, for that one. And then they'll play England. They'll have a tour of England, full white ball tour, that one, 3 T20 internationals and 3 ODIs from May 21 to June 8. And later in the year, they will host South Africa for a historic white ball series at the 3Ws Oval in Barbados, marking the first time the venue will stage such an international series. All right, joining us to tell us more about the senior West Indies action-packed schedule for the remainder of 2025 is Cricket West Indies Director of Cricket, Miles Bascom. Mr. Bascom, as usual, it is a pleasure to have you on the SportsMax Zone, and I suspect that you're quite delighted that you were able to release the fixtures for the year so fans across the Caribbean and indeed across the globe can start saving some money and buying some tickets and getting ready to support the Caribbean men and women.
Oh, yes, definitely. Good afternoon to you and your viewers. You know, it's something that we've been working really hard towards. We recognize that, you know, in the modern times, you need to give persons as much time as is possible to be able to make plans to move around and support our men and women. So we were really happy, you know, to be able to get this out very early so that persons can make those plans and support the team, travel around and see our men and women represent the West Indies.
Yeah, when I look at the schedule, though, I do have one concern, you know, because, and it relates to, of course, appointing a coach that now takes care of all formats. Now, one of the advantages of having a white ball coach and a red ball coach, at least in my estimation, is that when the white ball team is away playing, the red ball coach would still have an opportunity to work with the red ball specific players. That may or may not be the case this year, especially because looking at May to June, when we'll have the white ball tour of the UK playing against Ireland and England, and then a test series will start 10 days later, where I suspect Darren Sammy will be in the UK, while some very specific red ball players will be back in the Caribbean. Can you speak to whether there is any concern there from a director of cricket standpoint?
Yes, there's definitely some concern, but we have had these discussions already. I mean, it's something that has come up. We have recognized that whenever we have been able to get in good preparation ahead of series, we generally get results going in our favor. So that is something we plan to continue. So what it would mean is a high level of coordination and alignment. We do have a network of coaches, persons who we have engaged, coaches at the franchise level, pathway coaches, that we can call upon to ensure that the players who are not engaged immediately in a series and will come into the fray for upcoming series will get the targeted support that they need to be able to represent us well and discharge their skills as we require.
Yeah, I guess we'll be taking a close look at that. Another thing, I was speaking with one of our contributors earlier, and that's Reds Pereira, and he pointed out to me that there is a significant focus, especially in the early parts of the year, ahead of that test series against Australia, on white ball cricket. And the question is whether there was consideration, like CWI has done in the past, of having a sort of best of the best from the regional four-day tournament engaged in four-day matches in the build-up to that Australia test series.
We actually have an 8-team series. So South Africa 8 tours the West Indies in May, so May into June. So we do have the opportunity there, and we are expecting to use that 8-team series as a sort of preparation going into that test series against Australia. So there is enough time to have, as the schedule is set now, we have 2 A test matches and 3 ODIs. We are in discussions with South Africa about possibly making that a 3 A test series and leave off those 3 ODIs, just to ensure that we have enough opportunities for players to get some competitive practice and fine-tune their skills going into that Australia series. So that is the plan around providing that preparation for our test players going into Australia.
Yeah, sounds very good. And I mean, it's a comprehensive program throughout the course of the year for both the men and women. But I want you to spend a little bit of time, Mr. Bascom, expounding on the developmental aspects of the schedule, which I think is so important. You spoke about the South Africa A-team tour, or A-team series, which will be crucial, but there are a few other matches, series that will be important for development.
Yes, so we along with that 8-team series, which is a home series, we are still looking at opportunities for an away series. But we also have the Sri Lanka emerging team coming for a tour against our academy, which will be another opportunity for players on the fringes, players in our academy, to get that international level competition. So that's also in that mid-June window as well. So that is also another opportunity that we have for some players to get in some extra work. We also have Sri Lanka under-19s that will come to play against our under-19 boys in August. So they will have the regional under-19 tournament in July, and then late August into September, we will have a 7-match youth ODI series against Sri Lanka in the West Indies as well. Of course, the under-19 boys are preparing for their World Cup, which would be early in 2026. So that series against Sri Lanka would be key in preparing them for that World Cup. We are also discussing with England the possibility of another series in the November-December window, closer to the the World Cup for the preparation of the under-19 boys as well.
Yeah, and by the way, just to state quickly, that A-team series against South Africa that you spoke of set for the 17th of May to the 10th of June. Those are the dates earmarked. There's also the, looking to the white ball developmental structure now, the emerging T20 tournament that we know has been proposed and discussed at the Cricket West Indies level. Can you give us the dates for those? Because I don't think those were announced. And also, what other information can you give us about that tournament? Because up to early January, I know you were still trying to work through the specifics of that tournament in terms of the age requirements, type of experience, overall, the players that would be allowed to take part in that tournament.
Yeah, so we are working feverishly, CWI and CPL together, to get those details together and out. I don't want to preempt that planned media release, but I can tell you that the tournament is earmarked for April 27 to 9th of May. I did mention previously that the likely venue will be at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Trinidad. In terms of the other details, what I can say is that we are in the process of finalizing team names, getting a number of protected players from each territory. So we are well on the way to having everything we need to have an official media launch, which will come soon. So you will get all the information you need officially from the committee that has been put in place to manage that tournament.
Yeah,
I don't want to preempt that too much because we are planning something of a bit of a fanfare around that.
Yeah, fair enough. Just one quick question on that matter. Would it be franchise-based? And if it is franchise-based, would it be CPL franchise-based, or would it be CWI franchise-based, or will it just be the territories taking part as, I guess, individual nations?
Trying to pry a lot out of me. But I will give you this, that it is a true collaboration. So the franchises will be new. It is a CWI tournament, so the territorial boards would be the ones who the franchise will come from. But the intention is to have something that is fresh and new. And there will be some collaboration with the CPL franchises as well, which will be spelled out in detail so that you can see the real spirit of collaboration with which we're working with CPL and the CPL franchises, along with the territorial boards.
Yeah, Miles, I just want to go back quickly to a question that Ricardo had asked based on a discussion he had with Rez Pereira. I didn't hear Rez's proposal, or maybe query is the more accurate term. But if he was suggesting a best of the best, your response pretty much spoke of some A-team cricket to get prepared for the Australian Test Series. Now, that would suggest fringe players and not the main players. And maybe Reds was suggesting that given the general feeling that our domestic cricket isn't as strong as it needs to be, I'm thinking he may be suggesting that a best of the best would be the actual best players competing against each other to sharpen them for a team as strong as the West Indies, as strong as the Australians. I know that you would have camps and so on to sharpen the team, but would something like that be considered? Because I think it's generally felt that our domestic cricket isn't as strong as it needs to be to prepare our teams to face teams like Australia and India.
Yes, I think probably some of the scores so far in the West Indies Championship might try to challenge that assertion. But I generally get that sentiment, and what we have found with the best of the best sometimes, because it lacks a bit of context at times, we don't get the level of competition that we expect to get from bringing all of our top players. And the other challenge that will be presented there would be the fact that we have, soon after the end of the West Indies Championship, we have this emerging T20 tournament. We have the men's white ball team, which will have some of the players in contention heading off to Ireland and England, right? And then we have this A-team series. So to find a window there to get what would truly be counted as the best of the best becomes a little bit difficult. But what it does give us the opportunity to do, while we are accustomed to probably seeing fringe players in your A team, we have to be strategic. And if this is the best opportunity that we have to prepare players for Test cricket against Australia, then we have to use it to get those players as ready as we need them to be. So the A team may take on a more senior look, just to be able to get the players who are available, the requisite cricket going into what will definitely be a competitive series against Australia.
Yeah, I get that. The outgoing Test coach, Andre Coley, and previous coaches, Miles, had suggested that they would like to encourage some of the more prolific white ball stars to inject some more quality in the Test team, in more specifically batting, players like Hope and maybe King and so on. Do you have a thought on that? Because there is a general feeling that their program at the moment is not directed towards Test cricket, so it may take some coaxing to get some of these players into the red ball game. Do you first of all think that would be a benefit to the red ball setup?
Definitely having players of the quality of Hope and King available for selection, that is definitely a plus to our Test team. Those conversations have been ongoing, and they continue to be ongoing conversations. And it's about creating the opportunities, having clarity about what these players intend to do in that period as well. But definitely those conversations will continue to go forward with the aim of trying to get some of these players in a position that they can contend for a spot in the Test team.
Yeah, and having made the announcements today, which is a very good thing, I think it is very proactive to have the fans sensitized about exactly what is happening for the season. But over time, Miles, I've heard people criticize Cricket West Indies and regional authorities about marketing and pitching and selling series and so on. It's not often these days that you hear, adverts on the radio about or television about an upcoming series, whether Test 50 over or T20. Is that something that you've got in your budget, looking at this, busy schedule, to help to sensitize the fans and to generate interest to boost attendance?
Well, I'm sure the commercial team is definitely working towards that. This goes a long way in terms of them being able to do that, because it allows them to start to get ticketing done, which also helps. And I think the part of it that I am responsible for, one would have been to try to get this tied down, and I did have very good support from the commercial team, because we needed them as well to be able to get this out. But I always believe that the best marketing for West Indies cricket is a winning West Indies team. And I think the clarity that we are going to have going into both away and home series, and I think that we have a very robust program. I think that we will be able to build enough momentum so that the fans can follow the team and have some genuine interest. But I'm certain that the commercial team has a very robust plan in place to ensure that the information is disseminated to fans in the region and in the diaspora.
Yeah, Mr. Bascom, thanks very much as usual for joining us on the SportsMax Zone. The best marketing, you say, is a winning West Indies team. And yeah, sometimes a little bit of controversy helps as well. But hey, we're not calling down any controversy on West Indies cricket at this stage. All the best for the remainder of the year. You have a lot of work to do based on the amount of cricket that we see on the schedule. So I'm sure we'll be chatting again throughout the course of the year. Thanks as usual, man.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, and by the way, Lance, on that issue of some of the best white ball players getting into the test team, it's very simple. All they have to do is to play the 4-day tournament, make runs or take wickets. If you don't do that, there's no way you can get into the test side. If they want to play the 4-day tournament. It's as simple as that. And if I don't see a player in the 4-day tournament, I take it to mean they don't want to play test cricket.
Well,
it's that simple.
That's a good point, yeah. But maybe there's
no but, Lance.
There's more to discuss. I'm pretty certain that Darren Sammy would, if he wants it badly enough, would ensure that, you know, even if a player doesn't play a substantial amount of red ball cricket, if he wants them into his red ball team, he'd find a way to inject some pressure to make that happen.
Well, what Darren Sammy might do is inject pressure to make those players play the 4-day tournament.
Yes.
That's it.
That's fine. That's
what it comes down to.
I don't have a difficulty with that.
Yeah,
So.
all right. We've got another great cricketer coming up on the SportsMax Zone. So stay with us. We'll be chatting to him after this.